It's another episode of Bob. I don't know what else you were expecting. Give us a thumbs up, subscribe, comments down below, all that kind of stuff. You know the game by now. If you want to contact me, churchhouseclassics, it's all one word, @gmail.com. If you fancy supporting the channel or just plain buying me a pint, then there's a PayPal me link scrolling down here. Enjoy the video. Right, lobbed a bit of paint on there. Huge problems with dust today. But it'll do. It'll do for now. It's not been polished yet. The paint went on a bit thick and a bit fast because I was being tugged left, right and bloody centre trying to sort out one son's new car, one son's old car that needs an MOT, and this. So this is kind of all ready for polishing really. I've done the inside edge of the tailgate, which I'm actually quite, it's the best bit on it, to be honest. This was out of the way of the door. What I'm going to have to do, I think, when I paint, is draw some curtains across the door, because that's where all the dust has come in through. I was painting over there. I mean, obviously the door was closed, but this, you see, I've got boarding up here, so I'm going to have to strap or pin some plastic up along the inside of the doors, just to keep the dust out of the way. There's a fair amount blowing around today. But that'll do that. I think now I'm going to fuck around. Whether I do the bonnet now. Shall I do the bonnet now? I don't know. This paint down here, you see, is still tacky. That paint on there, it's gone off. That's all gone off. So I shall load these into the container because it's about 1,000 degrees in there, and they can be good in there. But I think, you know, for the challenging environment that I'm having to paint a car in, that's not bad. I will give it a polish before I put it on, because I might have to flat it back and put a wet coat over the top just to finish that off. Because I've rushed the wing a bit too much. I'm less happy with the finish out of the gun on this wing as I was on this one, which was a lot better as out of the gun. Okay, it's got a lot of static and stuff on it at the moment, but we are where we are. Okay, let's load this lot into the container. Right, this is the driver's side back wing. Oh, that's me standing right there. There's a couple of things I'm really not happy about it. First of all, there's a couple of fish eyes, tiny little fellas. You can just about see them there. One there. You see them? There's a dot through the paint. The other thing, slightly more concerning, there's quite a lot of scratching on the panel. I'm not quite sure where it's come from. And it's got a really good shine to it. I've not decided what I'm going to do with it yet. Primed this door, which I thought just had one dent in it, and it turns out it's got a few dents in it. Again, nothing horrendous, but you can see there's a crease along there. There's a dent there, dent there, dent there, and there's a dent down here. I should just hold one there, and one there. Car park dings, and one there. I'll just have to go over it with a skimmer filler. Leave the filler for a day or two so it settles, then I can do that. These D-post covers are now ready for a top coat. I'll do that when the boys over the road have stopped making dust. These bits, fuel filler. Top side window rails, they're going to be blacked, satin blacked. And here I've got the tailgate. Now, tailgate itself, this piece on the top, this is a template that I took from one of the tailgates I scrapped because it was utterly mangled. It may well have been the tailgate which came out of Bob, because it has got a bit of blue on it. It's also got a bit of red on it. Oh no, the red's my pen. So I suspect it was from Bob, because Bob's tailgate was absolutely mashed. Now, basically what I need to do here, cut these holes out. I've made sure it was level, so the distance to there and the distance to there is the same on both sides. I just need to drill all those out. I've got the hinged number plate here somewhere. There he is. Now, the only slight fuck up we're going to have with this is this tailgate doesn't actually have the recesses for these to go into. Sorry, you can see now, it doesn't have the recesses for these to go into. So I'm kind of basically just gonna get it to see if I can kind of line it up, really, I guess, and get it all in place. Now, these four here, that one, that one, that one, that one, they are all for the hinges. So I'll pop the hinges back on this. I'll make sure it fits. Sorry, tickly throat. Not very, but you know, oh, fucking hell, Richard, what are you going on about? Nothing happened on this side, apart from the wheels came back. I need to paint this as well. I started flatting it back, and I just went through on the top corner, so rather than fucking around with it, I'm just going to flat it right back and paint it, because I'm going to have to get the gun out anyway. Still working out what I'm going to do with that rear wing. I mean, all I've done with this, by the way, is cut the paint. I've not polished it in any way yet whatsoever, but if you get the light right on it, you can see there are scratches through the primer. Now, that surface was flat. I did it with a 600 grade. Now maybe I need to go finer than 600 grade. Maybe I'm just being really fussy. It's not like me at all. No, it is actually. Sorry about that. This fuel filler has already been adapted, by the way, for the kind of the hinge up rather than the screw on adapter, which is great because that's what I've got for this car. Right, and I painted primed all the hinges and bits ready to go on the door, which is in the container at the moment. The driver's door is all skinned up and ready to go. Yeah, I didn't notice that one there. That's not really too much of a problem. I'll soon get it out. All of these things are sort of within the boundaries of the panel. Once you kind of flat it back, this is the point where you start to see anomalies. So there's an anomaly up there. It needs to just kind of level that paint out a little bit more. And all I've done is just dusted a coat of primer on it. So it will get more filler primer on it when I finish, but I think it needs filler first of all. That's that. Right, I'm going to get on with this now. Drill those holes out. Get the hinges back on that. Move it forwards a step. I still haven't done the bonnet. The bonnet's the only thing I haven't touched yet. Fucking Darth Vader in the background. Straight lens. Looks nicer, doesn't it? Pleased with that. Bit misty in here. Gonna wash my hair now. Right, a brief step away from painting because I've had enough of painting things this weekend. Thought I'd get to the bottom of this exhaust issue. So this is a mild steel downpipe and Y section that I bought from Famous For. It's all Brit Part high quality stuff, as you can see here. Really is very, very, very high quality. This, look at the fit panel. Look, just look. Yes, they're both like that. Anyway, that's not the reason I bought it. The reason I bought it was because I wanted to see whether, when I put the passenger side downpipe on, whether it would actually clear the cross member. And you know what? It didn't. And then I compared that one to the stainless steel, and it's the same pattern. So now I'm thinking, what on earth is going on here? So I've taken all the mild steel system off, put the stainless system back on again. Now, where are we? Let's go underneath. Let's visit the underside, the undercroft of the vehicle. Right, so we've got the passenger side downpipe. As you can see, it's already touching the crossmember, and the crossmember is dropped by nearly 2 inches. So that's how far out it was. Now, I have bolted up the manifolds, and I do have a slight issue with the way, let's just see if I can get my fucking creeper to work. There we are. The way that is going into there. It's strained it a little bit. So there is a problem with one of the bends, but it's nowhere near as bad as I thought it would be. You can see on this one, This one's gone too high, that one's gone too low. So I can't actually get the Y section on properly. But that is the smallest of my issues at the moment. So I'm thinking, well, I know the engine's the right height. And the only difference from standard on this thing is this LT77 gearbox, which has been a bit of a bane of my life, I'll be honest. And it continues to be. So let me get the cross member out. Okay. Straighten the fucking camera up. Fucking thing. Right, you can look at me getting the cross member out. Can you see me? I don't know. Can you see me? You can probably see the fucking swearing. Right, let me get this out. I do have kind of an old trolley jack that I use to push the chassis rails out normally when I'm getting these in and out. Right, now you could see, hopefully, roughly what I'm talking about. There we are. You're probably looking at the light now, so you can't see fuck all. Now, part of the problem I've got is like I say, it's the manifold. This Y section isn't the best fit. I kind of had both of the exhaust manifolds loose, and then really struggled to get it in. But it's in. It's where it should be. So then I double checked. I double checked the measurements and so forth. And the key measurement that I'm going to bang my camera again. I need a 4-post fucking lift. Right. So the key measurement I'm looking at here. Let's go to this. This chap here. So let's start that segment again. So what I'm thinking about now is that perhaps the gearbox is mounted too low at the back end, which is going to tilt the whole engine and gearbox assembly too low at the back. So you can see over here, we've got the, where's my finger? There's my finger. That's the bell housing. There's the sump. And you can see here, that's the transfer box. Okay, we don't need to go right underneath the car, but this chap here, that is the handbrake drum. So what I then did was I measured from the top of the chassis rail. This is a bit arse about face, Richard, but it does the job. Talk about yourself in the first person. So I measured it, and that is the distance, basically, from to the bottom of the handbrake drum. Now, on my car, on L95, the gearbox drum is about 3, maybe 4 centimetres up, further up. So I think the problem is around these mountings here. Now I know this mounting is wrong, but I thought the ones on the other side were right. So what I'm going to have to do, I think, is find someone that's breaking a 90s, late 80s, early 90s classic and get all of the fucking gearbox mounts off it. So the ones that go to the chassis and also the ones that go to the gearbox itself. Because we've got Borg Warner transfer box here. And I've already got one of the mounts there, but this one is the original one that came with the VM, because no one had that one. The ones on the other side, I think, are fairly standard. But again, I'm going to need to go through the parts catalogue again and reconfirm my findings as to what mountings go where, because it is driving me up the wall. Now, that said, the next challenge, oh, that's nice paint, isn't it? The next challenge I'm going to have is move my skateboard out of the way, because they are outstanding. When you step out from underneath the car and you put one foot on that, that's great fun. See how far across the workshop you get before you start shouting and then end up flat on your face. The next challenge I've got is if the back end of this gearbox is coming up 3 to 4 centimetres, I might have a challenge then with the long stick conversion on this, clattering against the front of the dash. It's bloody close already. But secondly, I really am going to struggle to get the flat floor section in between the two front seats. So I'm pondering now whether I need to cut and shut the cross member. Oh. All in a day's work. And today is World Cup, sorry, today is Euro's final day. It's coming home. It is. Now, you'll be watching this in a week or two's time, so there you go. Was that a prophecy or was that just delusion? Now, on my car, I've measured the gap from the bell housing to the underside of the the transmission tunnel. It's about 1 centimetre out. But if you imagine, like, you've got a very, very, very long triangle. So you've got kind of an upright here, then you've got the kind of the level, which is along the bottom of the gearbox, and then you've got that angle. So if I would lift the back end of the gearbox up, we'd probably find that it can accommodate the difference. And probably don't have to go up very much in order for that to clear, in order for the downpipe, which is what I'm pointing at down there, to clear that cross member. So I'm going to have to go shopping, which is a pain in the balls. These things happen, they really do. And then, right, so I've had enough of exhaust now, so I'm going to get on and put this door on. So, I told you, that thing, I'm about to step on it, so what I tend to do is, rather than lose my rag with it and hurl it across the workshop, which always ends up breaking something, I put the door seal in, that's all in, and now I'm going to get the door itself in. Again, this is a famous fall reproduction. Works really, really, really nicely. Probably need to get the lights out here now so you can see out here now. There we go. That looks nice. I'm well chuffed with this. So I'm going to get this driver's door on and shimmed out. The driver's door itself is in the container, so I've painted the inside of it very much like I've done the passenger door. So the inside's all painted, and then I'll paint the outside of the door when it's in situ. It's a bit dusty, this one now, but I mean, I don't think you can get a Range Rover door to close nicer than that's just a bit of masking tape on there. I don't think. That is as nice as they ever close. I've lobbed the front wing on. It's not secured yet, but I've just lobbed it on again to just double check panel alignment. Don't worry about the paint difference here. That's not polished yet. That's out of the gun. That's halfway through a polishing phase. Good Lord. And then when this door's all shimmed out, you see, it can stay on. So today's challenge really was to get this passenger door on, sorry, driver's door on, Richard. It's not left-hand drive. Get the driver's door on. I also started fiddling around with the alternator, getting that lined up, just using long bolts. It might look a bit Heath Robinson, and to be honest it is, but it's going to be effective at being able to adjust the alternator to be in line with the water pump pulley. And that will line up because the power steering pulley lines up, and that's fine. I'm happy enough with that. Oh, dear. And then I still need to order up some 1/4 inch copper hose for the fuel return line, which I haven't done yet. That's just a reminder for me to do that. Yeah. I'm knackered. I'm going to put the kettle on, actually. What are we? 1 o'clock. I'm going to probably work till about 5, and then I'm going to head home and get a few beers and get ready for the footy tonight. Oh, Malcolm sent these to me, by the way. Probably should do like a proper gift segment. Check out these. 1980s tacular. Oh, beautiful. There's loads of them. Look at them all. Don't know what I'm going to do with them. He was going to chuck them out. They were going free, so he said, you can have them. Do you know what, sir? You're a star. Sealed beam unit. Brand spanking new. Look at that. YPAC. Brand spanking new. Sealed beam unit. It's too small for a Range Rover, but it'll fit something. Again, he was chucking it all out, having a clear out. Drop me a line. Did I want it? Oh, yes, please, sir. Because that was posted straight to me. Gratefully received. Thank you so much. I do get lots of stuff. I mean, I do try and call out people when they give me stuff, but if you're offended because I've not called you out, then please drop me an email and I'll give you a shout out on the next video. Oh, there's my hat hard on. Sorry, I've done that wrong. This is my hat hard on. No, I've done it wrong again. And then the other thing I've got to fiddle around with potentially today, I've got the fuel pump. So this is a Facet carburettor gold flow pump. Golden flow. There we are. That was rude, Richard. That's going to mount, as I say, onto the outrigger at the back here. Get that all plumbed in. But now that I'm getting towards this exhaust resolution, and it really, I didn't want to sort of get underneath the car and start faffing around, because I'm going to stir up a whole load of dust, but I committed today, I'm not doing painting today. I painted the wings, both front wings, door, inside, both D posts are painted, number plate painted yesterday. All of that was done, and I'm having a day off painting today. I'm not using Justin's car as a workbench. Justin, don't worry about that. That was my beer glass from the other day. The beers were a little bit lively, and they were kind of gushing out all over the place. So I've had a chat with Steve, and Steve's ready to take on the bonnet, but I need to do all the prep. And the only reason I'm interested in Steve doing the bonnet is because the amount of dust that's in the air in this workshop. Even when I sweep the floor and I put paper down on the worktop, if you look, there, that's a good, look it in real close, you can see the dust comes down with the mist. And I can polish it out. It does polish out, and it comes out really easily. But it's just a pain in the balls, and I really don't want it. So I didn't put a full load of paint on this thing. You see there's a few scratch marks on there. Because what I'll end up doing is, by the time I flatted this all back, in fact you can see there already, I picked right through to the primer. By the time I flatted all this back, then this will probably need another coat, which I'll paint when I paint doors. You can see I put filler on here. It's not been flatted back clearly yet. But overall, now the wing is in place on this, I'm actually quite pleased with the fit of that door. This wing here, where it sticks out there, is because it's not fixed at the back, and all I need to do is to pull the back wing out a little bit, and it settles that arch down. You can't see it. I know it does. So yeah, LT77 is a great idea, but it really is starting to get on my tits. We'll see. And then yesterday I found all of the brackets, heat shields for the engine mount, and there's another heat shield here. I think that one was for, I've got no idea, that one might be for the starter motor. Goes between the exhaust manifold and the starter motor down there. Right, let's get this door out. You can watch the door on. You can watch me hang the door. How about that? It'll give me a bit of footage to put on, because I don't think I've ever gone through end to end hanging a door before. So that'll be a laugh. You can learn some new swear words. So I've got a door catch. I think this is all okay. This is the original one from Bob's Driver's Door. It's a bit sluggish, but it'll work. The springs are all in there, which is the key thing. You get these springs. 2 springs. They're there. And everything works on it. It's just grubby. I'll give it a what's its name? A degrease. And it can go in. Right, so let me go and get the door, and then we can start going on about that. I'm worried this wing is too far forwards as well. Do that again. You're seeing this real time. Oh yes. You've got the swearing real time as well. Right, in you go. Hinges going in. Now, is that going to... Yes it is. Well, that sits on there. Yeah, the wing is far too far out. But the hinge bolts themselves, I can now, if I get a screwdriver in behind them, push the bolts through the holes. Oh, come on, you fucker. I told you you could get some swearing. No worry, I want to just pull the hinge nice and tight up against the A post. It's there. And there's the other screw down there. He's through. Now I'm just using nuts, non-nylock nuts on this to start with, but when everything's in position, I will use nylocks. the moment it makes life a bit easier to adjust shit. That's that one. Now top hinge. This deck might have to fucking come off. It's going to be a pain in the balls. Go in here. It is possible. I'll put it that way. It is possible. Now let's see where we are. So this needs to come out first of all, because we're too close at the top there. Oh my goodness! So let's loosen this. There's a fair chance I'm going to have to do a bit of work on this hinge edge of the door, because obviously this has all been welded in, hasn't it? Yes, Richard, it has. Just getting the hinges to slide back a little bit. Come on, you fuck. There we go. Right, it needs to. That's better. Right, now we need a washer behind the couch. I'll go through this striker key and the challenges you can have with it in a second. Right, when it's on, the hulking gap at the front, deck can probably come back a bit. It can. Let's close that gap a little bit. Just want to do all these screws on the front here, just to shift the deck back. And then the rear wing needs to go back a bit. But other than that, and that actually will catch. The door needs to come down as well. There's a certain amount of give in the door, in the hinge edge of the door. So that's the way I'm kind of going to go first. But I definitely need shims behind the top hinge. Right, so now, ignore the gap with the deck, because I think that is going to be down to, oh my nose. So ignore the gap with that gap there, because that deck will go back. The gap here is good, and the gap at the far end is good. Now, the main thing I'm looking for here is that gap that's right in there, and the one at the trailing edge of the door. Because if they are too close to A post or B post, you won't get the frame in. So that's that. So I don't think that will line up. Sorry, I'm chuntering away here, folks. Doesn't help you, does it? Really, at all. Pull this out a little bit. Like you. Right, now it closes. The wing needs to go up, because the wing's not tight yet, by the way. It needs to go out. So I think the next thing I do, before I start fucking around too much with the door, is to see if I can get the wing to go backwards. Let me do that, and then I'm going to have to adjust these two top edges up here, because they are too close to the edges. But bear in mind, I've not put one shim in this thing yet. And I can't get a Christmas ham into that gap, so that's a good one. The other thing I could do, of course, is hang the front wing. Give me a rough idea about the gap underneath. Oh, got an indicator unit attached. So what I'm chuntering on about there, you see the line for the wing. I want the deck to be back there, and that will close this gap up considerably. And then the other problem I've got here is the back end here, this wing, I know the wing is mounted too far forwards. So I'm just going to undo the screws on that and enlarge the holes, the mounting holes, so I can mount it further back and where it needs to go. So leave me to do that, and I'll report back. And then these gaps here are the other ones I'm telling you about. So that piece of metal there is actually just touching the A post. That one's clear of the B post, but it's fucking close, too close for comfort. So some of this, and you can see that the alignment of the deck itself and the wing, sorry, the deck and the door is pretty close. So I don't really want to pull this any further. So I'm going to take this back, just dress it back, so that there's a millimetre or two gap there. And then when I've adjusted that wing, I shall come back to you. Saves me all the editing, you see. I'll do it like this. A short while later, I figured out what's wrong here. It's bent down too much, so I'm going to bend that up. I'll be able to do that in a second. You can see the profile here and the profile there. I figured out what was wrong with the deck panel. It had a fucking great big dent on this side. So I've had to kind of belt it backwards. But I think ultimately, once the bolts go through and secure it to the top of the wing, then I'll be able to put it back. I've got the gap down to about half a fingernail width now, which is good. So I wasn't giving you the bird then. I really should do that. That's all it's bad, isn't it, Richard? So when I pull it back a little bit, it's going to go roughly into place. The gap on this end of the door is acceptable. A little bit wider at the bottom for now than I kind of wanted, but I can't really do anything with shims at the front here. I guess I could put one shim on the bottom hinge, but it might then lift the top door. If I put one on the bottom and one on the top, it's counterproductive. Anyway, rear wing all lines up beautifully now. I've got it on the holes. Fnarr. I don't even know why I said fnarr then. Like I say, well, there you go. And it opens and it closes. How about that? And also, once the kind of, the wing and everything is all in place, then it all lines up as well nicely. I'm pleased with that. And again here, the door skin is just a tiny bit too low at that point. Just needs dressing up so it curves around at the top there. You can see that one's really obvious, how it's been pushed down. Yeah.